I still, honestly, cannot believe this actually happened today, but yes, Kyle Rittenhouse did in fact take the defendant's stand. You've probably already heard about it because it's actually making like huge waves pretty much everywhere right now. It's very weird how mainstream media just kind of wanted to amplify this part right here, especially, oh, he took the stand. Don't mention any of the other blunderings of the prosecution throughout the previous, what would it be, 7 days of the trial. No, we're just going to highlight this right here. Well, the long and short of it was, well, if we're going to take a look at everybody that was up there, like a lot of people were saying it was very stupid to call Kyle to testify in his own fucking trial because there was nothing he could really add to the situation. The only thing he could do is just kind of fall into a pit and get tripped up by the prosecution and really just end up admitting to something. Well, if you just want the little upfront short summation of things, Kyle did about as well as you could possibly expect anybody could in that given situation. He was absolutely excellent on the stand, okay? He came across as incredibly genuine. He broke down a couple of times. The first time was... it prompted a break and then a complete and utter excoriation of the prosecution by the judge himself, but I think he got choked up a couple of times during cross-examination, which lasted, I think, the better part of 4 or 5 hours. Direct examination only lasted for about an hour or so. There were 3 or 4, I remember 3 for sure. I might be forgetting somebody. Okay, there were 2 other witnesses to begin with. One of the sons from Car Source, one of the owner's sons, the inventory manager. I forget if that is Sam or Sal. He was up there for a minute. He didn't make himself look any better. They just introduced, the defense did in this instance, they just introduced a little bit more information where they kind of, well, the last time that Sal or Sam was up there in the witness box, he said that, as the inventory manager, I am unsure about how much of my inventory burnt, and I never did any of the numbers. That's not my job or my responsibility. And then ended up playing a tape right afterwards saying, oh yes, we lost 137,000 cars. So later when he said, oh, I don't know, maybe I have no idea how much money we would have lost during the fire and all that kind of stuff. Again, this is about a self-defense trial, but it just goes to show you that there were a lot of dishonest people there that night, but Kyle really wasn't one of them. There was also, speaking of dishonest people, there was the former roommate of Gage Grosskreutz. I forget his name, and it wasn't really that significant anyways. He was only up there for a couple of questions. It was just for that Facebook post where it was posted and said that Gage Grosskreutz, his only regret on that night was not emptying the entire mag and killing Kyle Rittenhouse. Well, and then he said, oh no, I totally made all of that stuff up. Not like it was really germane to anything. All we needed to do was see that Gage Grosskreutz, on the night of August 25th, had a pistol in his hand, tried to grab Kyle's gun, and pointed the gun at Kyle. At the end of the day, okay, it just goes to the state of mind of Gage Grosskreutz, where he was totally ready, willing, and able to end a life, and hey, if given enough time, if Kyle wasn't a good enough shot, he definitely would have taken that shot. But the overwhelming majority of the day was dedicated to the testimony, the examination, and the cross-examination of Kyle Rittenhouse. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Tomorrow, apparently there's going to be a trial tomorrow. So we're 3 more witnesses from the defense, and then I guess maybe either at the end of the day, closer to the end of the day, you're going to get closing statements, and then the jury just heads off. According to, and I'll just get the housekeeping stuff out of the way to begin with, so we can carry on with this, but according to the judge and all the prosecution and the defense, at the end of the day, they were saying that, yeah, they anticipate everything being wrapped up by Tuesday. So who really knows how the rest of this stuff is going to shake out? All we know is that tomorrow is going to be another trial day, but who knows if Kyle's going to get recalled because he didn't get called by his defense team for redirect after the extensive cross-examination, which it was basically just beating a dead horse. If you guys just want, the quick wrap-up, like I said I was going to provide, but then got tangentially kind of distracted for a moment. But banger He was the one who delivered the cross-examination. Couldn't fucking read a room. Continued to just badger Kyle at every given opportunity, asking the same question over and over and over again. Asking him to just look at weird fucking video evidence. Oh, we have this drone footage. Oh, yeah, cool. Can you see yourself in that? No. Can you really see what you're doing? No. Oh, what do we want to do? Oh, we want to just edit this picture. Oh, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to show the jury and we're going to show everybody on an iPad with the fucking pinch and zoom function, which alters the fucking picture, okay? It fills in the pictures once you enhance and zoom it, obviously. Otherwise, they would just be blocky fucking pixels made to look a lot larger. You wouldn't be able to make out what is actually there. So using algorithmic means and methods to fill in the picture and fill in the enhanced image, it would alter the image. It's just guessing what's going to be there, but especially in a trial of some significance, you're going to need authenticity. You're going to need expert testimony. So they just ended up providing, or just going back to the HD footage, had it up on the screen. It really didn't do anything in the grand scope of things, but with that said, and with that out of the way, in case we don't get to it, I'd imagine we might, because I got a few articles pulled up and just a couple of different left-wing or even just mainstream outlets, because we got one that I like to use quite a bit, but their coverage has been just absolutely disgusting, for being completely honest. So, Kyle Rittenhouse takes a stand. I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself. Absolutely 100%, okay? Kyle Rittenhouse on Wednesday took the stand in his own defense in a trial on charges of killing 2 men and injuring a third during Black Lives Matter protests and riots in Kenosha, Washington. During his testimony, Kyle Rittenhouse broke into tears. The judge said the court would take a break to allow the 18-year-old, now 18-year-old, 17 when all this happened, to compose himself. Yeah, that was yeah, it was pretty tough to listen to, and I'm probably going to go back and rewatch the most of the testimony, at least, just to make sure that I have a good or decent grasp on it, and not looking forward to that part, that's for certain. On the night of the shooting, Rittenhouse said that after he spoke to a friend on his phone, he started towards car source to put out fires that were set during the riots. Again, something else, like, he came across as being very genuine, okay? Some people might say, oh, he was coaxed, he was coached, he knew exactly how to respond to everything. He had an answer because everything came out relatively quickly. And if it was something insane that Binger was asking him, he was either asking for clarification, or he never, over the course of the hours-long cross-examination, never got snippy, okay? He never got out of pocket. He stayed completely composed the entire time, which... remember, this is an 18-year-old kid at the end of the day, okay? Somebody who has to relive, obviously, the most traumatic moments of his fucking life in grave detail. And for the most part, he kept his emotions 100% in pocket. It was really something to behold, okay? But yeah, anyways, back to this. And this was where most of the examination was really focused on, especially on Binger's part, okay? As for the direct examination, I don't quite remember how everything flowed together, because literally that was like first thing this fucking morning, and just the sheer hatred I have now of Binger is really just kind of overriding all of this stuff. And this is, yeah, just after the case was rested for the day. So obviously that's kind of front of mind at the moment, but yeah, focusing on pretty much exclusively Joseph Rosenbaum, going over that in excruciating detail. Then Joseph Rosenbaum came from behind the car and ambushed me, Kyle Rittenhouse said. Yeah, we have plenty of video footage to back that up, and that is 100% true. Throwing his plastic medical bag or hospital bag at him, continuing to come towards him, saying previously that he was going to, if he ever got him alone, fucking killed him. And in between some cars and him charging directly at him, trying to grab his gun from him, that would kind of constitute being alone and getting a hold of him. So, you know, it might read into that what you will, obviously. And then also another threat against his life, and a bunch of other people that were around, another 2 people that were around as well, also saying, this is Joseph Rosenbaum. If I get you alone, paraphrasing a bit, but he said, yeah, I will carve out your fucking hearts and kill you. Something to that effect, okay? clearly a stable individual that you wouldn't really want as close as you could get, or as close as he got to Kyle Rittenhouse, that you would really feel comfortable with him getting that close to you. I don't really think so. All right, so Rittenhouse, who is on trial for homicide charges and a whole bunch of other things as well, is testifying in his own defense. Apparently, okay, Robert Barnes, who was a part of the defense until a couple days before trial began, said that this was very much the defense's brainwave idea to have Rittenhouse go out on the stand. At the end of the day, it might make his case look a little bit better, but it definitely wasn't worth the risk, okay? In hindsight, yeah, did it pay out for them? Potentially, but again, that's like saying, okay, cool, I put my head inside of a lion's mouth. It's like, cool, you did that. What was really gained off of that, as opposed to what was really at risk there? Or being a pedophile in close proximity to Kyle Rittenhouse, I wouldn't really take those odds either. When he described the situations, yeah, he broke down on the stand. Yeah, it was tough to listen to. That's for certain. Because yeah, going over that and it's not something that you really want to relive at any time, being completely honest. Look over my right shoulder, and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side, and I was cornered from in front of me. There were people right there. Rittenhouse said, yeah, and then he broke down crying. We'll be seeing that a lot more by scummier fucking outlets. Before he shot Rosenbaum, Rittenhouse said Rosenbaum had threatened to kill him. Yes, Rosenbaum, he added, was walking with a steel chain he had and a blue mask around his face and was just mad about something. Fair assessment, okay? Why else would you be yelling, shoot me? Word you can't say on the internet anymore, to a bunch of white people. It was like, okay, clearly this man's a stable individual. So mad about something is a fair and accurate assessment. The teen said that he was trying to determine if any of the people at the protest needed medical help before Rosenbaum screamed, if I catch any of you fuckers alone, I'm going to fucking kill you. He was screaming, he said, I'm going to cut your fucking hearts out. There it is. Okay. And I'm not going to repeat the second word, but kill you, N-word. Okay. He wasn't like his lead defense counsel. And yeah, he didn't drop the hard R, which would have been even though this trial has been incredibly entertaining and enthralling to watch, it has also been equally as memeable. So if Kyle would have just dropped a hard R, I don't know what I would have done with myself. That would have been incredibly ridiculous. He also recalled, after he throws a bag and he continues to run, he's gaining speed on me. A gunshot is fired from behind me, directly behind me. I take a few steps, and that's when I turn around. As I'm turning around, Mr. Rosenbaum is coming at me with his arms out in front of him. I remember his hand on the barrel of my gun. When asked by defense attorney Mark Richards about Rosenbaum lunging at him, he replied, I shoot him. That's obviously taken out of context or something. I'd have to properly reframe that. He testified that he continued running with the intention of going to the police. I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself. Absolutely. Rittenhouse later said that the other individual who was fatally shot, Anthony Huber, round of applause for that, tried to swing a skateboard at him. Yeah, like a baseball bat, connecting with his head multiple times. Rittenhouse then said he ran, fell down, and was struck twice by a concrete rock. Yup. There have been plenty of testimony. There's been plenty of video evidence that in fact happened. So again, there was no point in putting him up on the stand. Everybody's seen this, okay? But again, he performed incredibly admirably. Rittenhouse stated he was on his back. We've seen that as well. That's also in the video footage. It's readily, easily findable. Those are words. Huber then struck him in the neck with his skateboard a second time. Rittenhouse testified. Then Huber tried to grab his rifle and felt it coming free. The teen recalled Rittenhouse said he fired his weapon once. All of this stuff, yes, backed up by the video evidence. Around the same time, Rittenhouse said Gage Grosskreutz pointed his gun at his head. Grosskreutz had previously testified in this case that he pointed his gun at Rittenhouse, was shot in the arm. Again, the bicep, literally BYE CEPT. My rifle is down. His hands are up. His pistol is in his hand. And remember, this was right after Rittenhouse got fucking brained by that skateboard, okay? And after somebody tried to fucking kill him, tried to steal his gun, you had somebody else come up with a fucking pistol in their hand, okay? you're woozy for getting fucking brained by a skateboard, okay? And you have an angry mob behind you as well, saying fucking get him, as well as many other obscenities as well. Again, that's his state of mind on this, in case it's not properly framed. My rifle is down, his hand is up, his pistol is in his hand, and then he looks at me, and then he begins to bring his arm down, like his arm is like that with me on the ground, and his pistol is pointed at me, Rittenhouse said. That's when I shoot him, he continued. Prosecutor Thomas Banger. Oh, okay. That's what I thought his name was. I couldn't quite remember if it was Thomas or not. All I was thinking was just arrogant cunt throughout my head the entire time. Opened his line of questioning. Literally, he comes in hot as a motherfucker and doesn't let up for hours. Everyone you shot that night you intended to kill, correct? No. No, and this is where Rittenhouse did an incredibly great job. I didn't intend to kill them. I intended to stop the people who were attacking me, Rittenhouse said. When he asked Rittenhouse several times, literally every question was reframed and re-asked every single time. So Richards, and I guess Richards is the only one as the lead defense attorney who can levy objections. I don't know if he tucked that in his back pocket and thought that would be the best thing to do throughout the entire day, because the most vocal critic of what Binger was doing was the judge, okay? And we're going to go ahead because we got plenty of other Binger testimony, and which was what he was doing at multiple points during his cross-examination. We have more instances of what he was asking as well, so we're going to move along. But yeah, the judge, good old Bruce Schrader, he's the real one in this one, okay? If we're going to be ranking everybody on how well they performed today, you got to put Kyle up there being underneath extreme pressure, right up at the top. But if he's number one, 1A has got to be Bruce Schrader, who was right on fucking top of all of this stuff. And then you have Binger somewhere in the fucking basement, probably along with Richards, because he did good on correct examination, but he just tucked it all in his back pocket. It was an uninterrupted badgering for hours and hours on end. Okay. Constitutional violation. Rittenhouse trial judge admonishes a prosecutor. Yeah. And also the defense said, okay, they said that they were going to be filing for a mistrial with prejudice. So that means because so many violations, and I think we're going to get into it here. So that's just the upfront on this one. The judge presiding over Kyle Rittenhouse's murder trial twice on Wednesday admonished the top prosecutor in the case. Prosecutor Thomas Banger drew Kenosha County Judge Bruce Schrader's ire, particularly when he ignored the remarks that the judge made just hours earlier. Schrader first ordered the jury out of the room in the courthouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin, when Banger commented on how Rittenhouse had been silent since the shooting took place in August 2020. That is a direct violation of Kyle Rittenhouse's constitutionally enshrined rights under the Fifth Amendment to not provide excoriating a testimony to incriminate himself. Him saying, "Oh, why have you been silent? What do you have to hide?" It's like, what a dick. What an absolute fucking dick. And remember, he's a professional prosecutor. He should know this stuff. And in fact, he did. Maybe, okay, I've seen some theories out there, and some of them kind of hold a little bit of water, a little bit at least, where it's like, he knows he's losing this case, okay? It was already a tough case to win anyways, but again, he's also trying to get elected in 2022 rather, as an district attorney in another county as well, so he's trying to hang his hat on this unwinnable fucking case. He's a junior district attorney, because the lead district attorney didn't want to try this case, so somebody had to. He's commenting on my client's right to remain silent, Mark Richards, Rittenhouse's lead attorney, said as the jury filed out after they were already out. Okay, the jury didn't hear any of this stuff. Well, maybe they might have after they heard all of the yelling and screaming that was going on by the judge. The problem is, this is a grave constitutional violation for you to talk about the defendant's silence. You're right on the borderline. You may have been over, but it better stop, the judge told Binger. He was calm during this one. He was a little bit elevated, but again, he was nowhere near the full-chested yell that he let out at a couple of times as well. About 20 minutes later, Schroeder again ordered the jury to leave. This is where it gets spicy. I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence, Schroeder admonished Binger, visibly upset. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 or 50 years. I don't know what you're up to. Binger had brought up a piece of evidence that the judge ruled before the trial could not be referenced. Yup. Again, it's like, okay, these pretrial motions were already filed. They were already decided. And again, you wanted to start grabbing some stuff, okay? This is what he wanted to reference as well. I think we talked about it way back when it did happen. But right after Kyle posted bail, okay, he ended up going to a bar and he had a t-shirt that said free as fuck on it, and it's like, okay, cool. He just got out of jail, so somebody brought him a fresh change of clothes, and one of those t-shirts happened to be a free as fuck t-shirt. I get it. It was probably very selective in its selection in and of itself. But again, did he have full authority as to what kind of clothing he was going to be provided? Or was he set up by his previous counsel who were totally fucked in the head to begin with? Again, what does that have to do with self-defense? Binger was trying to argue that that has to do with a gross negligence in his thought process. Wearing a t-shirt to a fucking bar? And taking selfies with people, and then also trying to say that because his TikTok account is 4 doors more whores, which is funny in and of itself, and then the bio line of bruh, all of this stuff is fucking spelt as zoomery as you think it is. Bruh, just trying to get famous. What does that have to do with anything, okay? You'll see that on thousands of fucking 16, 17, 18-year-olds fucking social media accounts. So what are you trying to prove here? Oh, he was thinking badly. Yeah, was he also thinking badly when he was walking into hostile crowds, also saying, hey, do you need a medic? Or seeing a fire and putting it out? Like, just a scummy motherfucker, if we're being completely honest. Yeah, Binger brought up a piece of evidence. The prosecutor was trying to tie the evidence, a video showing Rittenhouse saying he wished he had a gun with him so that he could start shooting at alleged shoplifters. Again, this was another video that was decided on in a pre-trial hearing that it would not be allowed, okay? To the shootings that happened about 2 weeks later in Kenosha, okay, I said I denied it, or I indicated a bias towards denial. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that made it okay for you without any advance notice to bring the matter before the jury? The judge had wondered. Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's one of those things. If you want to reference it, you got to bring it up for a sidebar. You got to address it in the judge's chambers. Hey, okay, because you left this open, this is how I want to approach it. This is how it's going to be pertinent to my case. What is your final ruling? Okay. You can't just be like, yeah, I know we talked about this, but again, now we're going to be going into it. It's like, how are those things the same anyways? It's not. That's the long and short of it. Binger apologized and said he may have misunderstood the judge's ruling. He felt the testimony that unfolded on Wednesday enabled him to bring up the video in front of the jury. Oh boy. The situation on August 10th, 2020 is identical to what's going on the night of August 25th. Trying to make a joke with some friends that he wants to shoot shoplifters, alleged shoplifters, is the same as crazed individuals trying to wrestle away his gun and kill him. Okay. The sense that the defendant was using the exact same weapon, he was using it in a manner to try to protect property, Binger claimed. No, he wasn't, the judge quickly rejoined. Rittenhouse said he would not shoot people to protect property, but he fired upon 3 men because they attacked him, including convicted pedophile Joseph Rosenbaum, who, a medical expert testified, had his hand over the barrel of Rittenhouse's gun when he was shot. A minor detail, we don't need to be talking about that. There was a lot of difference between commenting about something when you haven't got a gun and threatening someone when you do, the judge later added. Don't get brazen with me, he told the prosecutor at one point. It was very heated, very heated. Schroeder ultimately rejected Binger's attempt to bring the video, and the jury filed back in. Rittenhouse took the stand for the first time on Wednesday, and hopefully the fucking last. And again, there's so many stupid fucking needless questions and so many details just blown up and just gone over in excruciating detail over and over and over and over again. And again, Richards not objecting to any of this stuff, okay? Anything for hearsay, anything for fucking relevance. It's just as inexcusable as what Thomas Binger was doing. But again, this is also the level of expertise that this prosecutor brings to the trial, okay? If I haven't been clear in the previous few videos as well, that this guy doesn't know his whether to wipe his ass or wind his watch, this should give you a pretty good insight. A judge steps in after Rittenhouse prosecutor says hollow point bullets explode. Yeah, like they're loaded up with little C4 charges at the end of it. He's a fucking idiot. Prosecutor Thomas Binger cross-examined Kyle Rittenhouse in court on Wednesday and suggested hollow point bullets are designed to explode inside an animal. Okay. What? Hollow point bullets are designed to hit an animal. Again, this is about self-defense. And did Rittenhouse have hollow point bullets? Did anybody there have hollow point bullets? What's the deal? Okay, designed to hit an animal, and they're being shot at. Let's say a deer, for example, and explode inside the body. Correct? This is what he's asking Kyle Rittenhouse. Hey, if you take hollow point bullets out hunting and they explode inside of a deer, that's what happens, right? It's like he was asking him fucking firearm advice. It was so bizarre. Rittenhouse shook his head left and right and said, no, I don't think so. Judge Bruce Schrader then interjected for I lost count at this point, and this was like midway through the day, and it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Interjected and asked Binger to clarify as whether or not he meant expand or explode. And then that made Binger's head expand and his brain explode because he really couldn't clear that up. At that point, Binger rephrased his question and asked Rittenhouse what a hollow point bullet would do if it were shot at a deer. Why? Who gives a shit? Is the deer attacking him? Binger's emphasis on ammunition came up after Rittenhouse had already confirmed that his AR-15 type rifle, big scary rifle by the way, was loaded with full metal jacket bullets rather than hollow point bullets. Yeah. Again, it's like, why? Like he was going over, okay, this line of questioning was all about trying to differentiate the reason why Kyle Rittenhouse had an AR-15 style rifle as opposed to just getting a pistol for self-defense, which is also fucking hilarious afterwards when he's talking about Gage Grosskreutz. Oh, Joseph Rosenbaum wasn't posing any sort of a threat to him. This is Binger's opinion on this because, oh, he didn't have a club. Oh, he didn't have a gun. He didn't have anything that posed him a bodily threat. No, he was just charging at him and then trying to wrestle away his gun. Doesn't matter. Okay, Anthony Huber. Well, oh, he had a skateboard. Well, he didn't have a gun. He didn't have a knife. He didn't have a club. He didn't have a chain. No. He definitely couldn't have done anything. But what about Gage Grosskreutz? He had a gun. But you had a bigger gun. Guess what? Gotcha. So, okay, so the other people, okay, so Huber and Rosenbaum didn't pose a threat because they didn't have a gun, but Gage Grosskreutz had a gun, but it wasn't a big enough gun for your situation. I get it. He's a moron. Now we're going to have to get into the mainstream narrative on this one, okay? How they're reporting on all this type of stuff, because I just gave you a little glimpse into what Thomas Binger was all about on the day. And again, he was just banging on the exact same details over and over and over again. Why were you in Kenosha? Oh, you were going to use deadly force to protect those buildings that you were there. They weren't even your buildings now, were they? It's like Kyle just expertly deflected all that type of stuff. No, I wasn't trying to use deadly force until people tried to physically kill me, okay? That's the only time that I used said deadly force, and I never intended to kill anybody. Repeat ad nauseum 40, 50 fucking times over the course of literal hours, okay? I'm going to be in for at least one more day of trial tomorrow. But yeah, remember when Joe Biden tweeted this out as well? There's no way to put it. The President of the United States refused to disavow white supremacists on the debate stage last night. Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 people. Okay. I didn't say anything as racy as one of his victims that night. I wouldn't even say victims. Just one pedophile that he gave his golden wings to, another domestic abuser, and another general piece of shit with other prior convictions as well. So again, no real great loss. But what's very common amongst Rosenbaum, Huber, and Grosskreutz? They're all white. Okay, so if Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist, he's doing a really shitty job of ethnically cleansing the United States by killing 3 white people. I don't really get it. But then again, hey, it's Joe Biden. He doesn't really get much. But still, okay, this is refreshed CNN's homepage. Okay, so what do they have? Now, a couple days ago, we showed you what the front pages of CNN, the New York Times. We could pull up the New York Times, but it's the exact same thing, okay? So they have Kyle Rittenhouse crying, making a gun motion. Very convenient now, isn't it? But then again, it was completely absent yesterday. So, as soon as Kyle takes a stand, well, now they have an opportunity to just reframe everything now, don't they? Okay? So the defendant talked about interactions with the men he shot, not his attackers or anything, not given the complete scene or anything like that, but we get it. You have headlines that need to be written. And why he brought a gun to the protest. Probably for defense and protest. Very, very interesting. This is from the same outlet that coined the wonderful term fiery but mostly peaceful. So again, this was back in that time anyways. And wow, we just have an entire litany of Kyle Rittenhouse coverage on CNN's front page. You have the top line there. You have live updates, Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Well, it's over for the night, so whatever. Kyle Rittenhouse breaks down on stand during trial. That's at least fair-ish. His word is final. A judge in trial is viewed as tough jurist. Fair jurist. And he's not even a jurist. He's the fucking judge. And he might just dismiss this one because of the gross negligence of the prosecution to provide any fucking facts. The only fact that they provided is that they're both grossly incompetent. And, well, Krause is just gross. Probably expended all of his energy yesterday. So I don't think he even moved from his chair. Well, mostly because he was probably becoming one with it after so many hours sat in it. Here, the lone survivor shot by Rittenhouse testifying in court. Oh, Gage Grosskreutz, when he said, oh yeah, Kyle didn't fire on me until I pointed my gun at him. Okay, cool. I'm glad that's in the headline as well. And a second witness testifies, Gregory McMick. Okay, cool. Oh, that's the Ahmaud Arbery case that's going on right now. Feel bad for that dude because he's getting zero coverage, but it's not nearly as enthralling as the other. Perhaps I might take a look at the Ahmaud Arbery situation because, again, that does seem like a really fucked up case, and it really does kind of seem I don't have any of the facts, okay? All I know is what I've heard is secondhand information. So again, it really does seem like Ahmaud Arbery was kind of done incredibly dirty on that one, but I reserve the right to be wrong on any of that because I don't have any of the facts. So, and that's not the central point of this already long video, but the establishment media skews a Rittenhouse trial to suggest the guilt. If you've been watching it, there has been no... Okay, listen. The prosecution is supposed to be able to prove that Kyle Rittenhouse murdered those 2 people, okay? And attempted to murder, because those are the 3 of the top charges. Attempted to murder Gage Grosskreutz, and they're supposed to be able to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. They haven't even made a compelling point that, okay, maybe possibly, okay? So they've failed at every single turn. But this is how the media is reporting it, okay? So I showed you the front page of CNN, okay? They have their articles there. They aren't being flattering, okay? They're showing Kyle at his absolute worst, at his absolute lowest on the stand. And something I'm not doing with my thumbnail because I have far too much respect for the kid, especially the way that he performed today. That was above and beyond what anybody expected, what was exactly needed at the time. But established media establishment media coverage of the murder trial of the teenager Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin this week has skewered events to suggest his guilt, even as the prosecution's case against him fell apart under cross-examination. Yeah, and then continue to get stoked like a dumpster fire in the middle of a Kenosha street. CBS News reported Grosskreutz testimony under the headline "Lone Survivor." Oh, cool! That's what CNN's doing a couple of days later. A lone survivor shot by Kyle Rittenhouse at Kenosha protest says that he thought he was going to die. Unfortunately, it was only thought and going to. The headline left out Grosskreutz admission that he was armed and also suggests that Rittenhouse targeted protesters rather than firing at people who were actively pursuing him during the melee. The Washington Post reported that Grosskreutz did in fact intend to point his gun at Rittenhouse, but reported the fact as Gage Grosskreutz says he feared for his life, pointed gun at Kyle Rittenhouse before getting shot. Very Washington Post. I was going to say New York Times, but I'm sure they're probably in here somewhere. Or did they just not even bother reporting on it? Anyways, numerous critics of the media coverage, most of them it really doesn't much matter, okay? You take a look at honest lefties that are out there that aren't just totally fucking ideologically possessed, at least in the law sphere, and they're just kind of like, yeah, no, there's no victories here. There's no big wins for the prosecution. The best they can hope for is maybe one of the lower charges, or that maybe the jury that got absolutely put to sleep at multiple points during today's cross-examination somehow finds Kyle guilty, even though I believe that he's completely and utterly innocent of all the charges against him. Even if they pull one of the other charges that's down there, he wasn't allowed to have the gun. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm not exactly firm up on that law right there, but it really does seem like there were precautions taken, and it looks like that law was probably adhered to, because that rifle, because they allege that, he took it back over state's lands, and that's a Mann Act, to go back to his home in Antioch, Illinois. But no, that gun was actually kept in Kenosha, where Kyle worked. So, again, I don't know all of the legal argumentation there, but it seems to be something that's pretty cut and dry at this point. But again, we got the New York Post here, who's just absolutely having a real one. You can see their thumbnail over here. They got two pictures of Kyle breaking down on the stand, which was early in the cross-examination. If you wanted to be inflammatory, and that's probably the way that I got the thumbnail here, I'm gonna probably have Binger being a complete fucking dickhead and the judge probably chewing him out. That's at least the way that I'm leaning, but you guys probably already know because you would have already clicked on this, and I'm just trying to theorize this stuff as we're going through it. And then yes, his mother, who was also in the court that day, breaking down, and she did it multiple points because you can totally understand it. And we aren't going to go through all of this stuff, but they make sure to highlight all of it because they're just bags of shit, and showing, the shocked Bruce Schrader, and then, if you'd like multiple slides on Kyle breaking down, you can go ahead and do that to your heart's content. But also make sure to link out to your, Kyle repeatedly yawned during the time that the jury was being sat. They're, like I said, man, they're kind of good on some things, but the Post is going to be the Post, and they have the reputation that they do because of reporting like this. So it's not just lefty sites. It's, in fact, all of these fucking retarded horseshit sites that sometimes are just trying to generate some clicks, and they're just trying to make a quick buck, and I don't like it. I think it's slimy, and that's why I just try to present the information as best as I can, as generally unbiased as I can, because I'm trying to think of this from both sides, okay? The not like, left and right spectrum. I think that's fucking retarded, but the self-defense claim and then the murder claim, I just don't see it as murder. We've seen the videos for 14 fucking months at this point, and nothing really seems to fit that definition. Everything seems to be on the self-defense side of things. But again, we'll see if the motion for the mistrial ends up getting filed and it ends up getting decided on by the judge himself, or if this goes to trial and what happens after that. But with that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.